This is Margaret Ann Windsor. Uh, the name I have to use is Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married Childers. I was kidnapped and brought over here in 41, and I have all this so many times up on YouTube and Facebook. What I wanted to put here, I'm hoping this all comes to an end. I wanted to say this for the better. And I wanted to say this, I've put it up so many times, and I've given information about my kidnapping, the mind control murders and patterns, a letter from the FBI, where I was flown out to Mr. Flint's, who helped me in a campaign in '83 to replace Larry McDonald, a doctor congressman I had written about and was almost killed. He was just one in the book of and Larry Flint had been shot by a program shooter. I'm going to say here some of it's been taken down, and when I put titles up, certain titles up, it won't go. Martin Luther King was one that was shot by a program shooter. Reverend, okay, now I'm forgetting his name, for goodness sakes, not Jackson. Well, don't tell me I'm going to have to redo this. You know who was with him when he was shot. He was mayor of Atlanta, and Young. Well, that's his name. Yeah, Young. He was also, and this is very important, appointed by Jimmy Carter, who was governor and then president, to the United Nations as ambassador. And that's very important because the UN was formed after I was kidnapped, and I was kidnapped and brought to Moulton, Alabama in 1941 at age 2. And the Illuminati that controls your press, and let me clue you, President Trump is so right in telling what he's saying about the press. I've waited so long for someone to speak out. And if they should be put before, I don't know that that was his words, but approximate words, they should be put under oath and made to answer questions, because they are really at fault in this whole thing. If they had told the truth about the mind control murders, there are lists, but I'm going to mention a few of them right now. The fact that Mark Kelly, he's married to former Congressman, I don't know why I'm sitting here forgetting. I've been kind of working all day the best I could. Gabby Gifford. She was shot in oh God, now I'm forgetting again. I'm too tired. She was shot in Tucson, Arizona, some years ago. Not that many, and they were patterns. And this one is one of them that can definitely be proven. She's married to twins. Well, to a twin, Mark Kelly, and he was given or he was on a program where he's wanting them to on gun for gun control, which gun control has nothing to do with this. This is total mind control, and the MK Ultra was brought before Congress in '63 or no 53, way back, slapped on the wrist. Now I'm not saying they're the ones doing what I'm talking about, the mind control murders that were done in patterns, but it doesn't take much to Google, and you get professionals telling about mind control. I can tell you how it was done. I have on there. I found out myself. I worked for doctors, and then later I found out about being kidnapped when I was flown out to Mr. Flint's in '83. And by the way, that was to replace one of the doctors, who was also a congressman, Larry McDonald. Well, there that goes in again. This won't go up, I don't suppose. Anyway, I'm going to stop here. The whole fact boils down to the press is controlled by the Illuminati, which is in control. They form the UN, which is your global government now. And they're even showing you just a piece of what was done. They put chips in heart bypasses and in root canals way back before '63, and that can be proven. It's not your guns, it's the programming that has to be addressed. So why does Congress not do it? Because they know. So none of this latest in Las Vegas would have happened because the motive lies with the programmers. Mr. Paddock was programmed. He's a victim himself, just like the Virginia Tech shooter who turned around and shot himself. And then you get the Aurora, Colorado, James Holmes. You go back, way back, before I started doing the book and before Larry Flint was shot. And he did a editorial April of '84 that stated, it was a nice editorial in Hustler magazine, and it stated that I knew who was responsible for his shooting in Lawrenceville, Georgia, Gwinnett County. That was close to Marietta, where I was living. So anyway, I wanted to get back to Gabby Gifford. She was one of the victims, and she's for gun control. And it shocked me when her husband, Mark, was interviewed, I believe today, and he's for gun control, which has nothing to do with it. None of this would have happened if they had addressed mind control, the use of it, and my kidnapping, of course, comes into play with it in my doing the book. That was prior to me learning out about, finding out about my kidnapping. But Gabby Gifford is married to twins, which is important in all this. And her husband's name's Mark, and the other twin is Scott Kelly. And they're both astronauts, and that's all I'm going to put up. I'm shocked that she doesn't know and he doesn't know. So many know. I've even put up letters from FBI agent who was undercover for the Huntsville Times, and I hope that he's okay. He sent me the letters. He's retired now. He sent me letters. I hope he's alive. He sent me letters to put up on YouTube and to use, because he couldn't even get it printed. A lot of these deaths that happened to Redstone Arsenal, one lady came to me, Bonnie Saylor, and I'll say this again, it's on a lot of YouTubes. Bonnie Saylor came to me when I worked for the District Attorney Fred Simpson in Huntsville, Alabama. That's NASA. The Space Center started there. And she found out where I lived, and she came there and asked me to go to my boss, Fred Simpson, on her behalf, that she had gone to all the federal law enforcement and all that, and they wouldn't even do anything for her. Her husband had top security at Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, and two of his other co-workers with him had top security. You have to have. And they were ready to retire, and suddenly they were put under investigation. And within a few months, her husband had, she went home and he was in the bathtub, and somehow, I think she said a rifle, but somehow he had shot and killed himself. Well, that's mind control that did it. But they would blame it on, well, they wouldn't blame it on mental illness here. Usually they try to do that, but they'd on stress or something for being put under investigation. The other one developed cancer, rare cancer, and died within a very short period of time. The other one drove his car into the Tennessee River and drowned. Of course, I even went to the churches and tried to get them to help her. And, she went. Nobody helped her either, okay?